Let's take a look at the charts on ZRX from this week's article on Brave New Coin. So ZRX or ZRX is a decentralized exchange system which allows anybody to sort of run their own exchange and or connect to the ZRX API, which then has pooled liquidity and can find best offers for you, that sort of thing. This is just one example of what the ZRX protocol would look like if you logged into their specific website. You see the relayers, you see your wallet here, very simple stuff. You connect your MetaMask, your Ledger, whatever you want. The real story though lately has been Matcha. It's one of the newer dexes that's super user friendly, very minimalistic from a price action perspective, less technical analysis, more just helping out new people trading, the Robin Hood of trading, if you will. They have around 30 tokens listed now. Again, it's part of the ZRX ecosystem, so it's all just bundled together liquidity. Makes it very simple for somebody who has no idea what they're doing really to buy a specific token. It's a very sleek setup, clean setup. It doesn't look anything like you're trading on any centralized exchange. It tells you exactly what you need to know and nothing less. It gives you warnings here about slippage. So it's very interesting and neat for a new person who has no idea what any of this stuff is and who starts trading for the first time. It sort of guides them through. I'm not going to say it's training wheels, but it helps explain stuff a lot more than a centralized exchange would. They've also recently announced this OTC, over-the-counter, request for quote is what they're calling it, for larger orders, where it can look at on-chain liquidity and it can ask market makers, can you fill this order? It's all happening through a DEX versus through centralized custody, which is pretty cool. If we look at how much of the token is being staked, it is relatively small compared to the rest of the staking universe. Instead of getting paid out in ZRX tokens, you're paid out in ETH, relative to like the trading activity on ZRX APIs and whatnot. And if we compare ZRX to all the other staking coins, there isn't anything that sticks out for ZRX here. It's a staking type coin. It's not necessarily staking for consensus on the network. It's staking for trading related purposes. If we look at the total volume on ZRX DEXs in August, it's surpassed 500 million. It's doubled the previous all-time high, which doubled the previous all-time high. So the past 6 months have been insane for DEXs in general, but specifically ZRX DEXs. And even though the fills have actually gone down, this is the number of trades, have actually gone down over the past few months, just the size of those trades is just massive compared to what it used to be. Really, this is what you want to see at the end of the day. You want volume, you want liquidity. Trades are whatever, but when it comes to volume, that's king for any exchange. If you look at where that volume is coming from on all these bridges, or I don't think they're API calls, but they're API related activity, it's mainly Uniswap over the past 2 months, which makes sense because Uniswap is just exploding in popularity. If we look at the token itself, the transaction count is kind of all over the place. I don't know what happened a few months ago to spike transaction count like it did. That looks like it is some sort of chain migration sort of thing, but I'm not sure. It could have been a large number of transactions in a staking pool. I couldn't really find any information about that. Same thing with the mean transaction size. Not really sure what that's about there. But nevertheless, since January, transactions are up. Mean transaction values are up. The token itself isn't going to get all the bullishness relative to the API calls, and the use of the ZRX network is extremely bullish, but that isn't necessarily bullish for the token itself, especially when we look at the coins being staked. It's relatively small to the circulating. NVT continues to go down. Active addresses continue to go up in a vacuum that's bullish for anything. It's just, do we need a token for ZRX? I don't personally think so at this stage in the game. The use cases have been a bit manufactured. The governance issues, if you disagree with the governance issue and you lose a vote, you just sell your ZRX, fork it, create your own coin, right? Like that's how it's been over the past 2 years, where exchanges want to go their own way. They just say, all right, we're done here. Get rid of their ZRX and fork it. Moving on to some technicals. We have 50, 200 EMAs, yearly pivots, VPVR, and RSI. First thing that stood out to me was Price is above the VPVR level. Very neat and clean. Interesting looking VPVR levels. This is just volume at price versus volume on a specific day. So you can see there was a lot of volume at around 35 cents to 20 cents. That's where a lot of the consolidation happened. We're above all of that consolidation now. Yearly 50 to 200 crosses are bullish. We're climbing these yearly pivots like a ladder, up, down, up, down, up, down. We're in this smaller volume area now, but it looks like a majority of the coins were bought and sold at around 30 cents. So going forward, your support and resistance levels are pretty straightforward. You've got support at the 200, support at the 50, at the R2 yearly pivot here, and resistance is just painted for you on these yearly pivots. Not a whole lot of volume up in this region compared to down low. Could just be Binance, but another thing I'd watch for is there's a massive triangle here. So the apex is the wrong word, but the point of the triangle is always going to be a massive support resistance level. And that's around 80 cents, 82 cents, something like that. Whatever this R5 is, that's a big support resistance level to watch going forward. It's certainly more comfortable to buy down here than it is to buy highs at the R5 when it's got this massive triangle. But it does look bullish, does look good. I don't know how much higher it's got in it before a 20 to 30% pullback, but it looks good. The cloud's a little more troublesome because all the signals are valid. You know, I had bullish Kuma breakout in May, had another breakout in June, July, bullish TK cross recross, another bullish TK cross recross in August. But now it's below the Kijun support, and the cloud support isn't until 39 cents, something like that. Basically the previous breakout zone. You can argue ascending triangle stuff here. So if the support resistance level is at 42 cents and we're at 60 cents, it's hard to justify jumping in at this stage in the game just based on that. Yes, trend is bullish. Yes, it looks good, but it's also up from 13 cents to 60 cents, 70 cents in a few months, and support is all the way down at 40 cents. Then lastly, looking at ZRX Btc, also looks very good. Trend is very bullish. It's above the 50, it's above the 200, it's above the cloud, it's above the previous Adam Eve support resist. As long as we can hold this 43 cent yearly pivot, it's probably good for the long term. You can see it put in a decently sized, 4200 sat, not cent. Decent sized volume profile node here at 5500 sats. So it looks good. It's just not, it's not a great place to buy because the move sort of already happened and now it's going to want a mean revert. So it's easier to buy the mean reversion than to figure out where to buy here, to buy higher highs, that sort of thing. But overall, everything looks pretty great for ZRX. If it needs a token at all, the protocol is working. It's user friendly. People are using it. That's what you want to see with anything, right? You want a network effect. The token price is bullish. Trend is bullish. I would just watch for mean reversion and perhaps a better buying opportunity in the next few weeks.